All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Yeehaw! Got a little Shania going on today. A little Shania. And the reason I picked this one today is because we're at the, third OCR in the year in this new series. And attendance has dropped off 50%. So either, there's just no value in these sessions and I'm wasting my time. So we'll understand a little bit about that. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing what people what conclusions people come to. There's somebody that bought into the program, and most of you who are newer, know my feelings about giving you the indicators right away. I know what happens. You just want to play with them, and you're dealing with indicators that you're never seen before. Multiple time frame analysis. If you don't understand market structure, if you don't understand what multiple time frame analysis is, throwing an indicator on the chart, it's not overbought, oversold like RSI or stochastics. It's a lot different in many ways, and you just can't throw the indicator on and go, right? And so, no posts from him in the groups, and yet 2 weeks later, he's messaging me, 2 weeks after he bought the system, he wanted the indicators right away. And I said, look, I don't recommend it. I don't like doing that. And he was getting all nasty. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'll tell you what, I'm recommending to you not to go to it right away, to at least go through the course material. And so that weekend I was doing an authorization. I threw him in there. So he got the indicators maybe, 4 or 5 days after he purchased the course. And then no posts, no questions to me, no questions in the group. And then 2 weeks later, he sends me an email, about, well, he's really frustrated because he's not winning any of his trades. And I'm like, dude, I don't understand. First of all, we're not trading to win in demo. Second of all, you could not have watched all the videos there. There's 50 plus hours, in 10 days time. You couldn't have watched all that and absorbed and comprehended anything. And, and I said, this is ego, wanting you to go faster than you should. It's ego thinking you don't need to go through the course material. It's ego thinking you're different than everybody else. You don't have to take the same path everybody else takes, and I said, I recommend you slow down because you're going to destroy yourself. You're going to get to stuff where the earlier foundation is going to be important and you're not going to have it. And one of two things is going to happen. You're going to burn out or you're going to destroy yourself. And so he posted 3 or 4 things, and then that's it, because he got some corrective comments, and that insulted him to have corrected comments. And so nothing from him until I see some conversation with him telling, everybody that TAB29 doesn't work. And, it's impossible because he made his best stab at it and he couldn't make it work. And I'm like, well, I'm just thinking what we've said all along, and that is you can't multiple choice. Once you get it, You could do whatever you want. You can twist it, add to it, put other stuff on it. There's a guy talking to me, one of the traders, and he's using the cloud, you know, um, and adding that to what he's doing, and he's having really good success with that. I said, teach me, teach me. So there will be traders that do deviate from the footprints eventually. But up front, go through the system. I've always said that. Establish your baseline first. Establish your consistency first. Then add stuff to it or subtract stuff to it. And now you have something to measure against. It's like a clinical study. You can see, well, what I'm doing here is really working over what I used to do, or what I'm doing here is actually hurting what I used to be able to do. But when you mix that stuff together before you understand what's going on, you're just going to destroy yourself. And, multiple choicing at that level, I've always called Gregor's Law, just to jokingly get my name out there somewhere. And it's guarantees failure. If you multiple choice, you're not going to get there. Anyway, so we have something special today. But before we get to that, just a few more minutes, if you don't mind. And I want to talk about a couple of things. In tab 29, in one of the very first training slides in tab 29, I think it's actually in the tab 29 training. I have to go back and actually, look at where I was. But there's a slide that talks about, here's attributes of what it takes to be a successful trader. And a lot of people over time have multiple choice that. Rather than circling back to that and saying, okay, I'm weak here, I'm weak here, I'm weak here, what can I do? There's a way to target your self-development. If you're going to read books, instead of just reading what everybody else is reading, read something that's actually going to help you grow. Find the characteristics there. Counsel with me, I'm not just the technical coach. Ask me, hey, I've looked at that slide on what it takes to be a successful trader, and here's 3 of several things I think I lack. What might I do to strengthen those? See, that's taking charge. That's taking ownership of your trading. The items that were added to that list, it's not just, some people think I just have nothing to do, and if I could throw yet one more phrase or word on a slide, I think it makes the slide better, rather than saying, there must be a reason a guy I've been trading 15, 16 years puts this stuff on a slide. And so one of the things you have to do is take ownership. You have to literally be the guy that says, go back to SFX 30, be the CEO of your corporation, be CEO of your trading company. And every day, in your daily power hour in the morning, or your meditation, or your end of day review, ask yourself, what have I done to be CEO of my trading company today? Which department is falling down? Which department do I need to lend a helping hand to? Which department do I need to get a little sterner with? And be that CEO responsible for your trading company, just assuming you answer to a board of directors. That might be your spouse, right? It might be your own vision of your legacy. But a CEO does not, work on getting better. So work on getting better. Work on being the CEO of your trading company. Make it the best you can. Find out where we all have weaknesses, Lord, just try and be self-aware of them. Catch yourself. That's the first part, self-awareness, and then understand there are opportunities to fix some of those things, to make them better, to make them stronger. All right, so the other thing I want to talk about is the head game a little, of course. And I just want to remind you of how this all works real quickly without spending, 2 hours on the law of spirals in the video sense. And that is to understand that what you see in your world, in general, in life, what you see in your world is not what's really there. What you see in your world when you open your eyes and look around is just what you believe it to be. So I'm taking hours and hours and shrinking it down. And again, some of that goes back to programming from your youth, and then reinforced programming because your RAS is just showing you what you believe. But it is, somebody said a reflection of your beliefs. It is it's a reflection of your beliefs entirely. And a lot of people don't get that. A lot of people don't get that. That's really talking about RAS. That's really talking about, the world that is out there, the physical material world is there, but we're all looking at it and seeing different things because of our RAS. And this is true on charts. A second part of that law of spirals reality is I talk about that golden triad of ego, RAS, and law of attraction. So things like self-talk, good or bad, become a self-fulfilling prophet. I can't ever trade this time of day. Well, you just gave instructions to your crew who are most loyal to show you why you can't trade during that time of day. So they're not going to let you see the trades that are there. They're not going to let you see the criteria that is there. They're going to what? They're loyal to you. They're going to reaffirm your statement. Hey guys, let's just show him the stuff that confirms to him this isn't the time of day that he can be successful trading at. And this is why your self-talk is so important. It programs your RAS. It dictates what gets attracted to you because that's how your RAS is going to filter. So I see comments, and I've said this for many, many years. I'm no genius, but I could probably be a pretty good psychologist for a lot of people because I can read them through their charts. I could read them through their Facebook posts. Now, a lot of people think, oh, it's, Steve, in his own ego, his own arrogance, he's greater than us, blah, blah, blah. But no. You know why I know that's true? Because I've got 24 admins in the Scans, Forks, and Fibos group, of which a good part, not all, are pretty active in helping. And we have our own little private group as well, just for the admins, to talk about the things we see and the things we observe. And it's funny, when your focus is on helping people, when your focus is on answering questions, when your focus is looking at a chart to help somebody, all these admins, well, not all, but a good majority of them, and those of you who are here can acknowledge this to me, everybody else won't see it. And that is, they have the same ability now. Just with a post, just with a chart, they could read traders' thinking. They could read their ego. They could read that trader's ongoing ability to predict their future, good or bad, just by the comments they make. And when I invited people to be coaches, I said the teacher will always learn more. Because one of the powerful things about when you start seeing this in other people, it makes you self-aware. It makes you aware of things. And so when you type the same things, when you express the same thoughts, you go, oh crap, that's the thing I was talking about I saw on somebody else the other day. It creates much more of a self-awareness. And you can read people. It's like a tarot card. You could read people by their posts, by their actions, by their charts. And so I have to say, just because it's observable, some traders, are predicting their future with a little ego caught up in it. We generally don't talk about stuff unless it works. And so when traders, question that sometimes, that's coming from ego. That's coming from, I haven't been able to do this, therefore it probably can't be done, despite other people doing it. Your mind's ego is so strong that it's convincing you, the thinking, conscious part, to come to conclusions that are incorrect, but they continue to program your subconscious mind because they hear those conclusions. This just can't be done. I never see this on the charts. Funny you other guys see it. I never see it. Oh my gosh, just listen to that statement. Law of attraction, self-fulfilling prophet, programming your RAS. Your words impact your trading. And it's funny, the people that say, I never see this, won't ever see it, even though everybody else can see it. Meditate to yourself about having an open mind. Meditate to yourself about, when you make definitive statements, those always and nevers that you use sometimes. I always get stopped out in this kind of move. I never seem to get this right. Those are programming. And they are determinants in what's going to happen in your trading and what you see on the charts in the future. Yes, you should be looking for ways to see it. But see, this is where you may have accelerated in your technical side faster than your self-development. This is why some people, pretend to do the reading game and really aren't. They're not comprehending. Oh, I know people that read 3 books a month and they aren't comprehending it. They're just doing it to read the 3 books a month. Their energy isn't in it. They're not reading it once and reading it twice, highlighting, and then the third time taking notes and putting that in a wisdom book that they review at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year. The space between, for traditional people who the end of year holidays, between the winter Christmas holiday area, regardless of what you celebrate, and New Year's, that should be a time of reflection, and you should have been reading 48 summaries and highlighted notes from the books you read the past year. And at the end of the month of November, it should have been the 3 to 4 books you read at the end of November, or by the end of November. And after the first week in November, it should be reading the notes that you wrote for the first book you wrote that week. And it just goes like that. You grandfather that review on and on and on. Now, it's gotten to be so much for me. I don't just at the end of year do my 48 books. I will pick seasons of the year and a month and date, put on my calendar, and I will review the 48 books from 2017. I will review the 48 books from 2016. See, there's a difference between, oh yeah, I read compound effect, and actually knowing what the compound effect is. And going to a spreadsheet and trying to make it work. Well, I don't do Excel. Well, of course you don't. You just said you don't. So a lot of it is head game stuff. Where you are. And which is why I put such emphasis on the head game. And why, I, in particular in the head game, it's not just rah, you can do it. It's about those things that actionable and executable steps to move forward in your head game. I have a channel at IML TV, Mindset Mastery, and of all the things I've done and all the things traders who have attended it have done in terms of the other 80 instructors out there, man, the comments I get on that session. And we did a little exercise 2 weeks ago a week and a half ago, on how to short circuit, how to bypass your subconscious programming. Because it doesn't matter, willpower, you're not going to overpower your subconscious mind with willpower for things like your big goals. You want $500,000 by December 31st, 2019 in your bank account, and your subconscious mind is determined through programming in the past that you don't deserve that. that's its belief set, then I don't care how strong you want that goal, you're not going to get there. There's other approaches you have to take in order to overcome that programming. So we did a little exercise, a week and a half ago, where it ended with a 24-hour fast and water fast. For those that can medically do it, there are people who have to have medications and stuff like that, but nothing but water, no tea, no coffee, nothing, no vitamin supplements, nothing, just water. And we had about 80% participation. It was incredible. Some of you in here were there and participated. And the comments back on that, both publicly and privately, were phenomenal, because what that does is it teaches discipline. If you can go through 24 hours on a fast, you can do one little tiny task today that, when compounded, will yield the annual goal. And you've proven now, there's no excuse. You've proven you have the discipline. Even before going into it, many people were saying, I just don't have discipline. Well, of course you don't. You just proclaimed it. You just programmed it harder and reinforced it again into your subconscious programming. It was a 24-hour fast, just a 24-hour fast for some. Some turned it into, 72, 96, 60, etc. Just because they already are in the fasting process. And those that are keto and fat adapted did much better than those that are carb adapted, because those that were carb adapted are just, were having headaches and stuff like that because the brain was running out of carbs. But, so you could also tell the diet people have just by some of their comments. Side note. And I'm not one to talk. I mean, I'm just, I'm newer to keto as well, past year. So there are years past, I didn't know the difference. Anyway, so I'll conclude all this, try and wrap it up, in saying when I first brought out multi-wave, and, I shared it with Brian, and we were both playing with it a couple weeks, and he's like, are you sure you want to do this? And I'm like, what? He goes, put multi-wave in the hands of the traders. And I'm like, yeah, why? I said, I've always had this perspective of, I'm not going to teach what I'm not trading. I teach what I trade, and that's it. I'm not going to be one of these guys that says, I'm going to sell you this program, and that's not what I do. And he said, because you can't control this, And so we talked a little bit more, and I knew exactly where he was coming from. What we realized is this wasn't the EMA 62 that we knew inside out, and nobody was going to discover more about the EMA 62 than we already knew. We had the body of knowledge on the EMA 62. 30-minute, 4-hour, 1 hour, 15, 5, 1. We knew all about the 62. We knew ways to layer the 62. It's just nothing new you're going to do with the 62 that we haven't already seen. Multi-wave is multidimensional in that sense. There's 1,000 ways to use harmonic wave convergence. 1,000. And you have to mature to understand that at that point in time, there was no way that I had experienced all 1,000 ways. Seven, 8 years later, here comes TAB29, multi-wave on steroids. Tons more sophistication. It looks a lot like the same indicator, but tons more sophistication in what it's doing, its abilities, its accuracy, and the same reality now is now even more exponentially true. And that is, there will be traders who have gone through the course, who have done their demo trading, who understand what's going on as I teach it, because I teach to the general audience, and have zeroed in on things like the MacGyver, like the CEO of their own trading company, Like the Magellan, all those names and titles and, attributes coming off that trader checklist. You must have these attributes to be a successful trader. Digging in and doing what it takes, investigating. So many months ago, one of the traders who actually started as a shredder trader, started asking me, he was bringing focus to his trading. I understand this, I understand that, I understand what you're doing here, but this is where I would like to go. And I'm like, okay, there's nothing wrong with going in that direction. He was already, okay at the levels that were being taught. He just wanted more focus. And so he started doing stuff. And every once in a while, he'd send me a screenshot, some dialogue, this is what I'm doing, this is what I found, etc. And he's continued to do that the last 6 months. And he's found stuff that work very consistently for him. So I'm going to have him come on and share some of what he does. Now, I'm going to put a disclaimer out there. This is this individual's trading. And the first thing you need to do is have some appreciation for it and some gratitude, because there's hundreds of traders who have concocted something from harmonic wave convergence, and they take the zero-sum game to heart, and they don't bring it back and share it. I'm not saying it's good or it's bad. I'm just saying if you were benefited by being in community, then it's, I think it's appropriate to reward that community, to give back to that community if you find something. Now, I cannot attest, this is not a trader who took what I showed him and is just copying it. So he's doing some stuff on his own. And some of it he did get from things that I have shown, but you don't see on the charts routinely. So he's found, and he did some observations, not so anxious to get in there and just make profits. Let me see why this is happening. Let me see how these things are agreeing or disagreeing. And that takes hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trades. It's called the experimental process. You don't do something because it worked once. You don't stop something because it didn't work once. So that being said, I want to remind you that in trading, everybody's results can be different. Everybody's results can be varying because the mental game is such a big part of it. So I'm just going to let this person share. His name's Clay. And I'm going to go ahead and make him presenter. And he'll share his screen. And Clay, you could come on the mic anytime you want, buddy.
All right, I'm here.
All right, man. I'm going to make you presenter. And we should then see your screen once you fire it up.
All right.
Creep, crawl, walk, run.
All right, y'all see? Everybody see?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. All right, so y'all are gonna have to bear with me. I'm coming off a pretty bad cold/virus. So Steve was very gracious to me, and allowed me to come on here and show you guys what I've been up to. Some of you in the audience know what I've been up to, but I haven't fully disclosed exactly what I've been doing because I wanted to back test and make sure that it was something worthwhile. So anyways, I went ahead and put together a quick presentation so you guys can, on the recording, but also you guys can take notes if you want to. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. It's from a Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, probably one of my favorite books of all time. I've probably read it through getting close to about a dozen times now. And I truly believe that. And so we'll just jump right in. So something quick about me. I'm 24 years old. I live in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma in the U.S. And I started my Forex journey on June 1st, 2017. I traded in the old paradigm and did not really know what I was doing for about 4 months. There's a couple of you who were with me during that time frame. I sold my camera gear to get started, so that was my first instance of burning the bridge. That's another story. You can ask me about my photography career and all that. But so I found Steve on IML-TV in September 2017, and he started talking about the new paradigm and making 5-10 times more profit. And of course, the shiny object syndrome in my eyes got real big. And I was like, I'm going to learn from this guy. And I began to learn, drawing scans in pitchforks. And then in November of that same year, the quickfire method came out, and I really started to demo that death. I finally got enough money and joined Shredder in December of 2017, right before Christmas. And of course, the market gets real weird during that time. And so I began taking green Shredder trades in January of 2018. I progressed through the levels and reached TAB29 in May of 2018.
So to interrupt for a second, for those that heard him reference Quickfire, their fourth line down. Quickfire is a strategy model put together by a couple of people, but was kind of compiled. It's a way of trading harmonic scans when they're completed and the D is present, and to ensure that the D is there the best you can. Now, Quickfire was an old paradigm way, but it tried to bring some precision to it.
Right.
So Quickfire was a scan trading model. Sorry, Clint, go ahead.
And bouncing off that, I knew that I had seen TAB29. I guess it was just right after it was probably 6 months after TAB29 was released. And so I knew in the back of my mind there had to be something more. There had to be something more to the Forex. There had to be something more to the market. And I basically, and that's when I joined Shredder, because I knew I wanted to know the DNA of the market. And so quickly, I demoed POT trading after going through the TAB29 training, and really began to research waveology. This was during the first round of OCRs of last summer, and I formed a mastermind group with a couple buddies here in Oklahoma, Tim and Josh. And we meet every Thursday, and we really attack and talk and bounce ideas off each other. Since then, I could actually see something interesting on the 5-minute chart. With POT trading, your setup is 30, 10, and 1 in the 3 panels. But I knew coming out of Shredder, we had the 5-minute wave there. But I really wanted to see what was going on there with regards to waveology. My RAS actually did not allow me to understand complete waveology until the Fast 33 training videos. I think there's an advanced training in there. It's about 9 minutes long, and it I don't know what it was, but my RAS opened up, and I was able to take that and then run to what I had been trying to research before. So before I show you guys the mindset I had going into this, I had a real big mental struggle starting until I started self-development 2018, obviously coming from the old paradigm. It took me a while to believe Steve with regards to self-development and reading books. I read 8 books in 2018, and I'm on target for 30. I know that's short of the 48, but I'm just trying to scale up and continue and keep consistency with what I'm doing. I have the mindset. I quote it. This is from Tim Mutzinger. He showed me this, but it's a great mindset. It's called the daily bread mindset. It basically give me enough for a day, but no more. Having this mindset when I sit down on the charts is help me get my pips for the day if they're there, but no more. This helps suppress greed, pride, ego, etc., etc. So be thankful for what I get, and if I get slush, I get slush. If I get way more, I get way more, and just be thankful that I'm able to do what I'm able to do. Another thing was I had to really completely trust the indicators and the knowledge regarding the training. Obviously, I had to adjust and learn through KSP, trusting the compound effect, and know that the same habits over time, the same trades, the same schedule, the same money management, the same focus will give me the KSP and growth in my account, but also in my life. So we're going to dive into what I started looking at. My focus was the impulsive side and retrace extreme. I quote them as RE trades. Obviously, these are big burst moves. They trade on the impulsive side of what we want. We're not hunting big pips, but we want to make sure that we're on the impulsive side of the move instead of the corrective. That way we have enough to, quote, play the game. I combine TAB29 and FAST33 because I prefer the 15-minute for scans coming from that quick fire background. I knew I wanted to mess with harmonic scans, and the 5-minute for identifying the retrace extreme trades for 15-minute and 30-minute moves. It's easier to see the 5-minute on FAST33 without the 10-minute or the 30-minute. So apologize, Steve. I know that I asked you that question, but that's why I have FAST33 on there.
Hold on, let me get my Men in Black pen. Everybody, look at this. Poof! You didn't see that. You didn't. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's a little bit of the MacGyver thing. FAST33 is a restricted version of TAB29. It only does 15 minutes and doesn't show any other waves. And there's a few other nuances with it, but I did demo it here last week or the week before, so y'all are at least familiar with what it is. Anyway, sorry.
No, you're fine. But I think the key to what I asked myself, I've got this written down on a sticky note right on my monitor where I keep my chart where I'm doing my trading. I'm constantly asking myself the question, where in the waveology or the cycling process am I? Where am I? If I cannot answer that question, I do not trade. I do not even attempt to trade, because the key to me is I have to know where I'm at all times. And if I don't, then I get confused, and that invites emotion. And so we're going to jump into what I've been looking at for the past couple months. So if you want to take notes, you can. So I asked Steve, really primarily focused on POT trading for the 10 and 1 minute charts. I asked Steve about Bollinger Bands because I had seen them on a screenshot that he posted probably, I think, in 2017, and what their significance was. And he told me to place them on the 5-minute chart, which was FAST33 for me right now, and gave me the settings. And they're not necessary in qualifying or retrace extreme trade, but they do help. So basically what he explained was these Bollinger Bands as the wave cycle. We have the static 8911 extremes, meaning obviously when a wave goes to those points, that is a harmonic wave convergence and or a retrace extreme. And we can see that in TAB29 and FAST33. So essentially what I'm trying to explain here is when the 5-minute will reach out and tag one of these Bollinger Bands and it's not at the static 89 or 11, they serve as a rolling extreme. So this was absolutely like mind-blowing to me, because for what I had been researching, I knew that we could see where the 5-minute would hook back if you're looking at the 5-minute chart with regards to the 15-minute wave or the 30-minute wave, and you could see where the retrace extreme was, but you could never tell where it would start or where the retrace would terminate and the impulsive side would begin. So I added this to the lower highs and higher lows criteria in pieces of 10 trading, which is in the FAST33 TAB29 trading. So I combined the two. So I took the Bollinger Band knowledge and then looked at 45 to 50 moves across different pairs and noticed the pattern that appeared on about 70%, 65 to 70% of them. At the termination of the retrace corrective side, peak 1 on the 1-minute chart is usually at extreme and will create a divergent move between peak 1 and price. The pattern will not always be there, but is a great indication of a reversal / termination. of the retrace. 30% of the time, on average, there is usually an energy point bounce without divergence appearing. Fibonacci and trend lines work absolutely fantastic at catching these termination points. Let me see here.
Now again, on termination points, Clay's referring to the retrace extreme termination point.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
Basically, my focus is where is the retrace going to stop, and where can I hop in on the impulsive side? That's what my focus is. So we'll just jump into an example of what I'm talking about here. So let me see what we got going on. Stand by. I know we got need to go, maybe not. Oh, there it is. I'm no master ink to go like Steve is, so bear with me. All right, so here we have the Euro JPY. We have the 15 right here. We have the 5 and we have the 1. So this is my standard layout. And you can see we have tab 29, fast 33, and then tab 29. So we're using a mixture of everything. The key to this question, the question I ask constantly is, where in the waveology am I? So on this chart, for example, we can see a 30-minute harmonic wave convergence. You can't see this with fast 33, which is why I use tab 29 here. We see a 30-minute harmonic wave convergence here. So we assume the impulsivity is now up. We see the 15-minute wave go up, and then it comes below this. And in my early research, I would affectionately call this, before I knew what a retrace extreme was, I would call this a slingshot trade, because it's pulling back and then it would fly up. So we see what's going on here on the 15-minute level. So then I want to see, okay, where can I hop in on this wave? So we see, here's your 30-minute right here. Can't see that on fast. The wave 5 goes up, and then it comes down below the 15-minute, and it actually goes to the static 89.11 here. And this is where I started to see the pattern. You can't really tell real well, but you can see divergence here, green bar, and then it's off to the races. Depending on what your money management is, we'll get to that in a second. But you can see the P1 price here clearly, divergent as well, and you get a trend bar flip, and then it's off, and it's bouncing off the shadow band 5 up.
Clay, I want to stop you for a second here. So
cool.
Or interrupt, so not start, pause, hit pause on your head there for a second. So those of you that were at IML, there were a few other educators there that occasionally had some really cool stuff. And one of them, before he got involved with trading gold, was Luke. And Luke introduced this strategy called snapback, which was anytime you had a zigzag and you had divergence, that typically was a trade that was going to go somewhere. Okay, and so a lot of the pullbacks that you see are bigger time frame divergent W's and M's. So, just a note to coattail on what Clay's talking about here is to visually program your head to start looking for M's and W's, because that will help you a lot with these pullback trade opportunities at various time periods. So the pullback is great, and what he's pointing out here is just that. Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine. So I've got many examples here. If you want, I mean, you can see this in the recording, but so this is really one of the first ones I found. I was like, okay, that's interesting. It's divergent here. I never really messed with divergence at all because I was trying to figure out the 5-minute wave, but I wanted to know, I asked myself a question, is there a point in time on the 1-minute chart where the market shows its hand? So if you think of the terms of poker, if you could play poker and right before, you had to place down your cards, you could see what the market was doing or what the market had in its hand, then you would win almost all the time. Now, obviously, you're not going to win every single time, disclaimer, all that. But I was thinking to myself, let the market show its hand, and then I'll decide whether or not I want to press the button, essentially. So here's the first one. That was EJ. This is AED-JPY. Let me clear this off. And, you know, we can see the 30-minute harmonic wave convergence at the top here. And obviously, we see the impulsive move down. So what I'm waiting for in this instance is I'm waiting for a hook back. I'm waiting for something to happen. And this is really where we can start to see not just the static extreme here, but you can also see it on the 5-minute. So the Bollinger Bands, for example, you get your 30-minute harmonic wave convergence here. You actually get snaking waves down here in the 15-minute level and the 30-minute level. And that's telling me that's a dead giveaway to wait for one of these. You see it clear as day. The 5-minute hooks back, and it comes up to the power zone and tags that Bollinger Band. Now, in the past, I never could tell where this would terminate. Now I can. And that's what makes it so powerful. So I go down to the 1, and sure enough, divergence, wait for the red bar, support and resistance, shadow band 8 down, affectionately, bye-bye. That's how that would go. All right, the next example would be CAD JPY. Obviously, very impulsive move up. You can see the wave snaking there. And this is so easy. This is so unbelievably easy. I think this is actually the trade Steve posted. I sent him this screenshot, and he posted this in the Scans, Forks, Fibos group the other day. But you can see clear as day when that 5 hooks back, and this is snaking, and there's a strong impulsive move up, and you're reading the waveology, you know where you are in the waves. This is just easy, easy, easy. The 1 gives it away. Like I said before, let the market show its hand. You get a trim bar flip here, and I'll talk about this in a second. And it comes out, and then it hooks back, tags that 1-minute 62 EMA. Shout out to Zoe for helping me understand that. And then it goes up. And then 5, 10, whatever pips there, bank them, move on. Another example.
I just never see this stuff, though. It doesn't work, man.
Let's see. Euro USD. I think this was on NFP or right before NFP. So the market was not the best. Obviously, you see the wicks and the eastbound traffic. But again, the pattern shows itself. You really get a 15-minute retrace extreme here, as you can see the 30 minutes getting cycled down, and the 240 is making its way down. So overall, you can see the direction moving down, even though it's moving east. But clear as day, again, you get a 15-minute harmonic wave convergence there. Comes down, and you wait for that hook back. And there it is. It tags that Bollinger Band, tagging the 5-minute 62 EMA, which is kind of blurred out. Ends up being right on the money, 62 EMA. You don't see divergence here, though. This is one of those instances where it does not show divergence. And I'll get to why I would swing the bat at both once I get done showing you guys all this. But there's no divergence here. And so I started asking myself when I found this, like, okay, there's no divergence here. How would I know to get in this move that I didn't miss this? How do I not miss this? Not out of FOMO, but is there something else going on here? But there's no divergence here. Let's see here. Okay, so this is when I really started to get interested with what was going on. So you just have the 15 and then the 5 here. I think I was at a coffee shop on my laptop looking at this. But now we start to introduce something, and you can see it over here on the left. Now you start to introduce scans. And I'm thinking, okay, I know that there's a high probability, in a PRZ. I know there's a high probability of a reversal. I want to see what these moves do in this zone. Okay, so I think, yeah, so this is I drew this scan. I drew this scan. I think this is on a Friday afternoon. You have your D point. It goes up. So this line right here is a convergence. And then you actually get divergence in the 5-minute. So this isn't primarily what I'm looking at, but I just wanted to see the pattern here. But here you can see. So I talked about a little bit, just touched on it, the pieces of 10 money management strategies. So we see the D point. the 15-minute starts to make its way out, and then the 5 is cycling the wave out, you get a lower high. You get a lower high right here. That's a valid buy, obviously, with green bars in fast training. Then you get a 15-minute convergence here. You assume the impulsivity is now down. We can see the 240 snake, so we're thinking, okay, this thing's gonna retrace and it's gonna come make another convergence. So we continue to monitor. We see the divergence in the 5. You can measure that right there on the 5-minute chart. We see the divergence in the 5, and of course there starts the retrace, and it starts to cycle. You can see the 5 starting to cycle its way down. I'm not taking anything in here. 1, because I think it was a Friday afternoon, but 2, I was just observing. Again, you can see divergence here, and then it starts to go back down to make that presumed 240 harmonic wave convergence that we assume here, because this is still snaking. But right here, you can see right before the big drop, we're watching, and then all of a sudden you get a lower high on the 15. This caught my eye. It went to the static 89.11 and tagged the Bollinger Band, and then it just dropped right on down to the convergence.
You're down to the convergence. Your pitchfork there, is that an X-ray alpha or a BS?
Yes, the pitchfork is an X-ray alpha.
Okay.
So this is where I was like, okay, I'm finding something here. Once you marry the scans and the forks with this, you really start to see some power. So this is the same trade. It's just looked at the 1 minute. So I waited there. You get your 240 convergence here. You can see the D comes down, and then clear as day, the 240 starts to go up. I start to see the waves move out. Okay. And then it tags that Bollinger Band at extreme. The 15 starting to get cycled out. It tags the 50% mode, divergence, green bars. I think there was INS here, and then goes.
Now you notice he explained from the beginning his daily bread concept, and just again he's absorbed the power of the tight stop loss. He's absorbed the power of get your 5 pips, lock it in, move on. Okay, so he's working on short-term charts. Now, I know not everybody trades short-term charts, but even if you trade longer-term charts, you might use some of this technology to get into your trades. But the mental game is all about, I'm not going for 50 pips here. I'm going for 5, 10 pips that are very profitable, and, get that daily bread. Don't be greedy. Move on. Okay. A couple other points for those that came from the shredder side that were not part of IML. An X-ray alpha is a fork that we put on scans that only has one of 2 best fit possibilities, and sometimes they rule themselves out automatically, and so the other one is the one he went with. So he went with an X-ray alpha fork here. You see on the 15-minute chart on the left where he's got his 240 convergence bouncing right off that fork. This is why we use them, because they're such highly predictable reversal points. And so he's grabbing these impulsive moves where they're the most impulsive, where they're there. Clay, do you have a slide of the settings? How to set the Bollinger?
Yeah, I've got those. I think it's towards the end when I've got some examples from this morning.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll just keep on chugging. So I think, so this is an impulsive move here. Down, this is the EJ. Again, you get a decent downward move here. What I thought was interesting here was you can see the divergence in the 15 and the 30 as it makes its way down. So that's just something I keep an eye on. And you can obviously start to see the 240 made a massive move down. And we don't predict price, but I would expect it to start to make its way into the extreme. Again, we see the divergence show itself on the 5 from these divergences here. All right, and then we start to see peak 15 start to make higher lows, and this, I think it wicked up or something. I got an alert, but tag that Bollinger Band and then it tagged the 21 right here, which, by the way, if you're not using shadow bands on your chart, you're really missing out. I'm just going to give that a plug. You can see how amazingly price bounces around these shadow bands. And as I think Steve coined it, the 21 is the gatekeeper. I think Todd and I, we call that the gatekeeper all the time, and you would be amazed how many times this thing rejects price from going to the 62 or keeps price inside this near the 62. So we see it going down, Bollinger Band, divergence, divergence, red bars, 50%, SB 21 pips. All right. Here is a UCAD. I think this is, I'm not sure, this is pre-NFP. So obviously lots of wicks, not very clean, but again, pattern showed itself. There's no Bollinger Band hit here. But we see the 5-minute cycling, the 15 down. See the 15 coming down. And we see that the 240 is coming out of a snake, poking its head out, but on its way back down. I believe this is after a very strong impulsive move down. Excuse me. Again, there's no Bollinger Band hit, but we do have a lower high. We get a lower high. This is clear as day, fast 33 training, tab 29 training. Just scale it up. But price does come up, tags that SB 13 down with an INS line and with a harmonic target like right there. So we get an energy point. And then we have divergence, and then divergence, and then it takes off. And then let's see. And then, all right, now this is when I started to really get after this with the scans. So I started placing scans, and I wanted to see, I know Steve mentioned a new scanner. I'll let you jump in on that, Steve, if you want to talk about that. But the new scanner allows us to see when the C paints. And this is very beneficial, one, because it doesn't always go to the D, but when it does, it's an impulsive move usually. So we can see clear as day, 30-minute is getting cycled down. It's cycling the 240 down. All right.
Big divergence on your 30 too.
And then big divergence and divergence on the 15. So I'm thinking, okay, coming from a C point, you know, I'm getting ready. I'm not trying to jump in here. I'm saying there, you know, with market geometry, there has to be a retrace. There has to be a retrace. And I'm just waiting for that. I'm just sitting on my hands and I'm waiting for it to come to me. I never try to force this. I'm waiting on it. I'm just sitting here waiting, drinking my coffee. So again, tags the Bollinger Band, comes down, comes up, tags the Bollinger Band. No divergence here, but look at that sharp V. Goes right into extreme red bars. I don't know if there was INS here or not. I think I got back to this when INS had already reloaded, and then it just took off. And you can just look 10-pip channels, you know, daily bread. Bank them, go live life.
All right. Clay, let me interrupt you right here for a second too. So this is where, you know, when we teach, when I teach, I talk about the 50,000 page, you know, manual. And so what you want to get here is Clay was not randomly taking 1 minute extremes. This is not a 1 minute extreme concept that he had. He's looking at the waveology. He's understanding the impulsive move. He's looking for the pullback, the slingshot, the whatever you want to call it, the retrace extreme. And he's looking for tools that measure that. So per the training, you know, per straight tab 29 training, you know, he's doing things here outside of that training. But what he's showing you is with the tools why it works. So it's, you know, we're not going to go to somebody brand new to tab 29 and say, take a 10-minute wave that's less than 80% or 20%, you know, on its pullback because it's too risky, because a lot of times they don't go. Well, the reality is the ones that do go have reasons why they go. And today he's giving those reasons. So now, you know, we hit the chapter on buys into sells and sells into the buys. This is the part of the chapter that has an asterisk on it and says, yes, but, yes, but, yes, but. Here's where, you know, and as you can tell from this, just the way Clay's presenting it, this is not something he just did one trade on and is sharing. This is, he observed, he made conclusions, he observed, he confirmed, traded it, got, he's got his KSP on what's going on right here. So that's all cool, and what he's doing here is awesome.
Thanks, Steve. So I think I started doing C to D moves. Sometimes give you, several opportunities to jump in the move. I think the next slide shows after. Okay, yeah. So it shows after the D. So we see that previous move there. We can see it clear as day. You get your D. Okay. I never mess with the D. I tried to mess with the D. Quick fire. You mess with the D. POT. I just don't mess with it. That was a big ego thing for me. Excuse me. That was a big ego thing for me. I was like, well, the D's got to reverse. It's got to reverse. No, just let the D settle for me. So I'm going to look for this, and I'm going to look for a retrace or something telling me that it's coming out. But I don't mess with the D. I let the D settle. So when I get a scan and it's right here, I'm chilling. I'm sitting there. I'm looking at something else, but I'm waiting. Sure enough, we get it here. Again, 240's moving down, 30's moving down. You get a 30-minute convergence here. So I'm asking myself the question, okay, is this now the reversal point? Is this now going to make a higher low and come up? Is this going to make a higher low and start to cycle this up? So I'm asking myself that question there, but this gives it away. Again, the market shows its hand. Again, you get a 30-minute convergence here. So now I'm thinking up, but then I see this right here. This is a higher, or this is a lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. This is on its way down. So I'm thinking, okay, let's see if this shows up here. Sure enough, there's no divergence, but look at the 62. EMA came within a pip, red bars, hitting the Bollinger Band, pips, move on. The GU USD, this one's kind of, I think, yeah. So obviously I started from the C. The C, you can see here, 15-minute convergence here. You can see the 30 cycling up. You can see the 240 coming out, but primarily you can see the 5 cycling the 15-minute up. So right here, comes down, hits that Bollinger Band. It comes down right here and hits that Bollinger Band on its way up to the D. So I'm sitting here waiting, and these show up clear as day, and then divergence shows its hand. Divergence shows its hand. It's hard to see here because of the power, but it's there. So 2 moves right there, and your money management, which I'll talk about mine in a second, but your money management determines whatever. Get your pips, move on, and it even does another one right here that I didn't even mark, and then it hits the D. Let me see. And then I think this next one is after. So I wait for the D. D settles, and then clear as day again. You see the moves up, and then you get a convergence right here at the top. 30-minute convergence here. Comes down, higher low, but it tags that CDX fork to the bit. Excuse me. And at the same time, you get divergence showing its hand. Red bars, you're in the trade, or 2-pick pullback, you're in the trade. Excuse me. And this is an example of something. I'm actually towards the end of my examples here, but
that's a Charlie Delta. I believe
so.
Yeah. So his pitchfork is a traditional pitchfork, just based on the CDX of the scan. This is why we use scans, because they can be, those fork parallels then have incredible amount of Fibonacci-ness built into them because they're built off the swing off the scan. One question, and I know Clay's presenting here, guys, for the first time, really, and it's hard to present and watch the question. So there was a question about how you measure divergence, and the technically it is the closed candle, not just the wick.
Right.
It should be the closed candle. So for that question, there's your answer.
Yeah, that's why I'm drawing it from here and here. And sometimes these 1 minute divergences, they're real quick. You know, they're back to back, or they're within, you know, a couple candles. See, when I'm looking at this, when I get a lower high or I get a tag of the Bollinger Band, I'm watching this like a hawk. I'm like, show me your hand, show me what you're gonna do, and then whether or not it's there or not, that determines whether I press the button. So this is an example of what happened. Obviously, you get some real wiki going on, but we get a 30-minute convergence at the bottom. We actually get a 15-minute retrace extreme right here. So that's a 15-minute retrace extreme trade, but we can see the 5 cycling the 15 up, lower high, that's a valid enter, and then this comes down, lower high, hits the Bollinger Band, slight divergence here. But case in point, this is divergent here as well. And so you're like, well, why did, you know, you got in right here and it didn't work out. I get in and then I watch and I watch. And if I get red bars before I get to my money management, I bail. I get out of the trade. So I get slushed. And then if it shows it's divergent again, then I will re-enter the trade.
Is getting slushed like getting slimed? Is it just?
No, not really. Let's see here. And then I think, okay. Excuse me.
No, you don't want to use trend bar flips on 5 minute. He's using 1 minute trend bar flip.
I'm using one. I want to know if I need to abort the mission. Do I need to abort? Do I need to bail?
His execution's on 1 minute. 5 minutes going to have too much slush in it.
Yeah, there's too much slush. My ego, when I first started this, is I don't want to mess with this. This is too much. You know, there's too many bars, too many waves going on. I don't want to mess with it. And I was like, you know what? But if I want pinpoint accuracy, I need this right here. I need this right here. And then once I get into a trade, I manage it here. I manage it on the 5. So for example, CED, real strong impulsive move down. I'm waiting. I'm sitting there waiting. I'm thinking it's gotta retrace at some point. Got to retrace at some point. And then sure enough, comes up, tags that Bollinger Band. I could not detect divergence here, but I think, you know, there's FEB here, or some kind of INS, or I will not enter a trade unless there's some kind of support and resistance there. I'm not going to take it off just blank space. That's just not me. I'm not going to do it. So get those red bars, and then it continues on its way. And then I think, let me see. Yeah, so let me go to some same day examples. So this is the GU. If I can get this thing out of the way. So this is this morning. So if you wanted to go back and look yourself, impulsive move down, 5 cycling it down, 15 starts to snake, 5 is actually snaking a little bit here, and then it comes up, tags that Bollinger Band, divergence. I think that was like 12 pips. Like, come on, it's just too easy. Like, show me your hand market, show me what you're going to do, and then right on the harmonic target, 55, daily close, candle close, trend bar flip, bye-bye. And then USD CAD, obviously looking at that C to D move, you can see an impulsive move up. 15 is cycling the 30 up. And then this right here, guys, is just so easy. This is so easy. You know, I've always wondered, like, how do I get in these impulsive moves? And this just gives it to you. The 15 just starts to snake, and you're like thinking, this is clean as day. You know, I just want, you know, come down there and tag that Bollinger Band and show me what you got. And sure enough, there, and then it does it there, divergence, and goes up into the PRZ. And I think it actually, yeah, it started to reverse. So here you can see it live, depending on what's going on. Wavology wise, you can determine whether or not that's something you want to jump in on, or if you want to wait for a cleaner move. You have to look at the time of day, channel size, all that stuff. But like, look at that. wake up, make your coffee or whatever. For me, divergence off the 1 minute, 62 EMA within a pip of the INSH3, and then it goes up into the PRZ. So I think that's the examples of what I've got. Here's my money management. Okay, Steve mentioned it before. This is something that I use. This is something that I've developed. It's always trader's choice. Always. I need a 2 to 4 pip candle close on the 1 minute chart with a trim bar flip. That's what I have to have. If I don't have that, whether there's divergence or not, if it's a 6 pip candle, I'm not pressing the button. There's just too much risk in the trade for me. At 5 pips profit, so where I enter and it goes 5 pips profit, I've moved my emergency stop loss to break even +1. I find that sometimes the ESL will get me out of an impulsive move trade against me if there's news or something that comes out faster than I will with an MSL. So I just move my ESL to break even +1, and after that it's house money. If price does not get to +5, okay, this is what I touched on earlier regarding the 1 minute trim bar flip. If price does not get to +5 and there's a hook back and a trim bar flip against me on the 1 minute, I exit the trade. This sometimes occurs when divergence has not shown itself yet. You get the one to go to extreme, you get a trim bar flip your direction, you get in, and it kind of floats around, and then you get a red or a green trim bar against you, and you bail, and then if divergence shows itself, I will jump back in the trade. So sometimes you kind of swing the bat early. You don't strike out because it takes 3 strikes to strike out. You just get 1 strike or a foul ball, and then if it shows its hand, just get back in. At +8 pips profit, I use 40% erosion of price gains, so that's your normal 40%. FIBO, moving the ESL, and then you begin using the 5 minute hole there for me from there forward, and then exit at 40% or the 5 minute hole flip. That's my money management. And then additional thoughts, kind of backing up to what I talked about earlier about the 1 minute. If the peak 5 hits a Bollinger Band and there's no divergence and or an energy point hit, then I begin questioning if I'm on the right side of the impulsivity. So if the peak 5 hits a Bollinger Band and starts floating, I'm starting to question whether or not I need to be in this trade or not. So if it hits that Bollinger Band and it starts to just kind of go east and you don't get impulsive retrace moves or any kind of decent looking candles and it just kind of hits the Bollinger Band and then it just goes east, I'm starting to back away from the button, basically. I want to see, basically you want to see a divergent move or a V move or a trim bar flip or peak 1 at extreme, like right after it hits the Bollinger Band or goes to the 89.11 extreme. You don't want it to sit there. You want to catch these moves. You want to hit the termination point of the retrace and grab the very beginning of the impulsive side move. If it hits the Bollinger Band, the static extremer creates a lower high, higher low. If it's not there, I'm starting to bail. And I think, really, Steve, I think that's all I got. So
can you show them how to attach the Bollinger to a?
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so if you go to your charts, don't do it right now. Just take notes, take screenshots, whatever. It's really simple. So I use FAST33 for my 5 minute charts. You can use TAB29. It does the same thing. So I hit this little arrow right here, and I hit Add Indicator on FAST33 or TAB29, whichever you want. I just do normal Bollinger Bands, okay, and I add those on there, and they won't show up at first. So you have to go to Format, go to Inputs, and here are the settings. You want this is the setting Steve gave me. Length 10. You want your source not on any of these, obviously. Go all the way down towards the bottom, and you want it on peak 5, because that's what you're determining whether or not to hit the Bollinger Band, whether to look at the 1 minute or not. Go down to peak 5, and then your standard deviation is 1.75. And then I went in here and I got rid of this red line. It's just too much for my RES, and it's not needed. You can take a look at it if you want, but I don't really use it. and then you can just change the colors. I like green because they don't really have green going on except for the Peak 240, but that's just kind of on its own. And then I could kind of see it, but you can set white or whatever you'd like. And there are the settings for it. So
awesome job, Clay. So not only did Clay share some knowledge that he spent hundreds of hours working on, he did a nice presentation and he captured everything, soup to nuts. And so, I just couldn't be more excited for Clay and the entourage he has, that group of guys working and researching and observing, and they're doing everything on that checklist. They're CEOs. They're taking responsibility for their trading. They're not playing victim. They're not, he's looking for possibilities, not closing them out. I don't see it. I don't get it. Teach me. He's looking for stuff using the tools we have and moving forward with it. And so I just, my hat's off, and now I know I could retire because somebody could teach me. Thank you.
You're welcome. How do I give this screen back to you?
I'll just take it. So,
all right.
Let me do that.
There you go.
Clay, again, I appreciate all the time you put together. I know you're not feeling well, and you had a lot going on, and it was Super Bowl weekend, and that was just stellar on all fronts. So
I appreciate it.
From the bottom of my heart, thank you, and on behalf of the traders that are giving you good compliments here, thank you for all your efforts here too. So, guys,
thank you guys.
Some of you who are like, this is take charge. This is get it done. This is somebody with a dream. 24 years old, my Lord, right? A lot of us would like to be back 24 having, this kind of earned knowledge. And so for those that say it doesn't work, for those that say you can't make it happen, I guess Clay's just one of those freaks that, got lucky. So I'm going to sarcastically brag on that just a little because, it just, you have to innovate. You have to take the tools you have, find stuff that you like. He didn't, he wasn't trying to do 30-minute trades 1 second and 15-minute the next. And he's looking at the waveology to get the most powerful setup for his 5-minute trades. And the other stuff he's learned to, if you listen to what he said, he revealed a lot of secrets of success. He learned when his ego was present. He became self-aware of ego, tempted by the D's because everybody's jumping on the D's, all sorts of systems out there on jumping on the D's. And he's learned patience like that, okay? Part of that comes from, Charlie Delta, and we're not so hot on the D. We let the D settle before we draw the CDX fork. But just the overall patience. And then robotically, trading like a robot. He's got the thing he's doing. He's not tempted by other stuff. He's looking for specific criteria. If that specific criteria there isn't there, he doesn't get FOMO over it, because he knows there's 100 more coming. Just like he said, every major impulsive move has to have a pullback and a correction, unless you're in the middle of a news announcement and there are only 3 or 4 pips. But normally, 95% of the time, every major impulsive move. So he's looking for the impulsive moves and then catching the slingshot to get the rest of the impulsive move, which is, wave 2 trading at its best. All right. That's, don't have to notice he didn't mention Elliott wave. Notice he didn't mention wave 2. He's looking strictly for that slingshot move. And so that is, great discipline in learning to have the patience, knowing his criteria. Because why? Why does he wait for the criteria? Because he's demoed it, he's researched it, he's demoed it, and he knows it works. And so why are you messing with stuff that you don't have KSP with? Why are you messing with stuff that you don't already know? Clay can now say the same thing about these 5-minute pullbacks with his Bollinger Band. And that is, he's not going to take a trade unless it's going to win. That doesn't mean he wins them all, but it's just a statement of he's got his criteria, he knows what he's trading, he goes to the charts, that's what he's looking for. If it's not there, he doesn't take a trade. because there will be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. This is not the last 5 minutes on the charts in the Forex, so you have to squeeze a trade from somewhere. All right. So the presentation that he did carried a lot more than just the technicals that he showed. The technicals were awesome and the preparation was awesome. But if you listen to his words and you read his presentation as he went through it, you know, it reveals the trader psychology that's so important. So again, just excellent job, Clay. I appreciate it so much. Well, backtest is a loose term. Okay. Because remember, back testing with wicks, the wick, you know, may have done something that you won't see in the indicator in a back test. Okay. So you can't, this is not something you can back test and count pips on. It is something you can back test and say, well, I see divergence. I could back test and see, oh, here's an impulsive move and here's the retrace. Here's the retrace extreme. What, you know, what does the indicator do when I have that retrace extreme? So it's, instead of trying to go from the indicator, what is the indicator telling me? He's looking at price action. He sees the impulsive move. He sees the retrace. Okay, the retrace is finished. It's now continuing. What did the chart do at the time that the retrace finished? Oh, the 5 minute pulled back. Oh, the 5 minute hit the Bollinger Band, you know, 75% of the time. In addition to the peak flip, in addition to the trend bars flipping. So, you know, good lesson here. So we're going to wind it down because it's been an hour and 25 minutes. Again, Clay, thanks for all the time you invested to share this, and thanks for all the time you invested to learn this and to, you know, just the personal growth you've gone through. I know because, you know, of our talks, it has been phenomenal. And it's chicken or egg. You know, he's gone through some self-growth that's helped him learn to trade, and then his trading has created more self-growth. And it's just, it's a witness. And again, you know, just checking off the bullets on that, attributes of a successful trader. So with that, we're going to wind it down. Clay, thank you. Thank you everybody who came and attended this. Talk it up in your groups. Talk it up about the special guest we had today and how he just blew everybody away with his TAB29 trading. Let everybody get inspired to watch the video if they weren't here live. Let's share what Clay has invested here with us today with others and help them as well. So as always, life can be short. So remember to show your appreciation and your love for those people that you do care and love. Let them know it. Talk, call them, message them, do something. Let them know you care and love them. I love you guys for being here and your continued support. And hopefully we got something of great value today. I sure did. We'll see you soon.